Alberta Primetime with Michael Higgins.
Welcome to Alberta Primetime. Ahead tonight, gearing up for a unique gathering of the United Nations. But first, from a law to protect professionals, from discipline to Corb Lund's petition to ban coal mining, Albertans' pick for a new license plate, and an Edmontonian's matchstick masterpieces. Let's kick off the program with our Primetime This Week panel. And joining us this evening, social worker and community activist Karen Richards, and Carissa Halton is an author, speaker, consultant, and facilitator. Good evening to you both. And let's begin with the provincial government tabling a bill that would give Alberta's regulated professionals the opportunity to express themselves without fear of repercussion. The new rules would be applicable to everyone from doctors and teachers to naturopaths and engineers, and regulatory bodies could no longer discipline for conduct outside work hours unless that conduct is violent or sexual in nature.
Everyone should have the right to express their personal views freely. No professional should fear losing their license, their reputation, or their livelihood because of a personal opinion, a social media post, an interview, or open dialogue outside of working hours. We want to ensure that professional regulatory bodies keep their focus on areas within their scope.
The bill was motivated by psychologist Jordan Peterson, who was sanctioned by an Ontario college in 2023 for comments the regulatory body felt undermined the profession and posed risk to the public. Peterson argued those comments were not made in his capacity as a psychologist, but he lost in court and was punished. The Premier says this new legislation will ensure similar cases do not happen in Alberta. Karen, what's your read on the need for such a legislation and how it fits into the current political dynamic?
Yeah, I don't see need, I guess, for new legislation in this sense. When the UCP first came into power, one of the first things that they did was put changes to regulatory colleges and make it so that they were less about membership engagement and more about being able to sanction members. So to think this now is kind of an about face to really change their mind in that sense and say, no, what you do and say in work versus outside of work is something that is so separate and different. But I think that really that was about belittling democracy in a way also, because if it was about membership engagement and those colleges were really about people being able to come together and actually sometimes dissent the government, now they're saying you won't be able to do just that. So really, I think that in this sense, they made it because they seem to love laws that have to do with undermining gender identity. And so that really fits with what Jordan Peterson has said and done in the past.
Carissa, the bill also restricting mandatory training, things like diversity, equity, and inclusion. How do you think this legislation in general lands with Albertans?
I mean, I guess for those Albertans that perhaps have connected DEI as a leftist progressive sort of plot, perhaps that might be something that connects with them. But I think this feels like a really obvious flex for them. I think it's intended to create a real chilling effect for the colleges and for these organizations, even that are receiving grants from the government. I think it has the potential to be a much wider sort of message to the group around, they don't like DEI, and we're seeing it in their funding proposals. We're also seeing it in their use of the notwithstanding clause. And so I find it a little bit curious here where the government is wanting to fight for free speech in one area, but in other areas where they feel like free speech impinges on their own values, they're very willing to introduce their book bans. They're willing to police pronouns and gender expression. I guess I would argue that's all about free speech too. And so this is about free speech, but I think we've also seen in some of their other work in the legislature over the course of the last sitting that free speech is only good when it's got, when it's fulfilling their specific values.
Karen, where do you feel this legislation maybe leaves professional colleges in the province or are of equal importance, just the general workplace?
Yes, I think, as Carissa mentioned, overreach in some areas, but not overreach in areas that fit for themselves. So I think that it leaves colleges continuing to struggle to really understand what the expectations are them as a group. How do they advocate for their members, and how do they also make sure that the work that they're doing speaks to when there is government dissent? So I think that it's slowly whittling away at different pieces of democracy. And so I hope that people are really standing up, listening, and recognizing I'm a member of this college or this group. How can I jump in and stand up?
All right. Next up, Corb Lund generating headlines this week, and it has little to do with his music.
I'm not partisan. I don't have any affiliation or affection for any of the parties. This has nothing to do with anything at all political except for not ruining the water in the mountains.
The Alberta musician and rancher has submitted an application to Elections Alberta for a citizen initiative petition calling for coal mining to be banned within the eastern slopes of the Rockies.
I'm not anti-resource. I understand we need resources, but it doesn't mean that every project is a good idea. And these coal mines in the headwaters of rivers are a terrible idea.
The Alberta government removed its moratorium on new coal development earlier this year.
Well, we've already stopped any mountaintop removal. We've stopped any open pit mines in the eastern slopes. We've taken the steps that we found Albertans wanted us to take.
If the petition is approved, Lund will have 120 days to collect nearly 178,000 signatures to move the process forward and a possible referendum. Carissa, what does it reflect to you when someone as high profile as Corb Lund takes a stand like this to rally Albertans around a cause?
Well, I mean, Corb isn't just high profile, right? This issue is something that's directly impacting him, his family ranch, his family cattle. And so I feel like what's exciting about this is that, Corb has obviously voice, he has reach, but these opportunities of, citizen initiatives like this that he's taking advantage of, that he's able to engage citizens, he's able to educate about an issue that otherwise, perhaps if you're not directly impacted by, the challenges to the headwaters in southern Alberta, you might not really think about or not even know about. And so these opportunities like that Corb's introducing his own personal story is, I think, both obviously is educating, engaging, and I think we're going to see people feel really empowered by what he's doing. And so even the act of carrying out this work, maybe they don't get the thousands and thousands of signatures they need. I think that it's a really powerful thing when someone this high profile stands up to fight for something that's important.
And Karen, this Corb Lund petition application, it's just the latest in a growing list of citizen-led initiatives, including recall efforts of MLAs. What is to be made of this sudden flourish of activity pushing back against the provincial government?
Yes, I think it's doing exactly that, pushing back. When the government chooses to control rather than lead and, slap notwithstanding down like a domino on a table, cover their ears like headphones so that they don't have to listen to people. People want to take back what small grip of democracy they may actually have. So it's great that so many people are into these citizen initiatives. I think that it's important to remember that we have mechanisms for engagement. There is the petitions, there is the recalls that are coming around. So look for that information and, just take it in and recognize where your values align. If we're given the opportunities for these pieces of democracy, we can definitely take them and should take them. Even the government of Alberta right now has public engagements that are open. 42 of them are open to the public at this time. You might have to listen to a 15-minute propaganda video before you can actually answer, but at least you have the opportunity to speak about what it is that you as a citizen feel is important and not just have the government do everything that their small base chooses.
All right, time for us to take a bit of a break, but when we come back, Albertans making their pick for a new license plate and the legislature like you've never seen it before in miniature. More from our Primetime This Week panel in a moment. Welcome back. When it comes to the image representing our province on streets and highways, Albertans have spoken.
Marine Lake's going to be on the new license plate, and you can expect that in mid-2026.
Albertans were given the opportunity to choose from 8 different designs, including prairie landscapes, the cattle industry, the provincial flag, and of course the Rocky Mountains, all carrying the slogan, Strong and Free, a replacement for Wild Rose Country.
Well, we'd never done anything like this before, so we didn't know what to expect. So quite frankly, we were impressed with the response. On 240,000 occasions, Albertans went to alberta.ca and participated in the process. That's pretty good uptake, so we're excited by that.
And if the new look license isn't for you, you can keep your current plate if it is in good condition. Chris, I'll start with you first this time. The design was chosen after 3 rounds of voting and was apparently a race to the finish, with Moraine Lake edging out a cowboy and pump jack design. What do you make of the final pick? Because I know we talked about it the last time you were on the panel.
We did. I mean, I love Moraine Lake, and so I guess I'm pretty excited that was the winner. I mean, considering our last segment where we were just talking about Corblund's petition against mining in the Eastern Slopes, I think it actually is a really great reminder of how critically important our headwaters are to all of the watersheds in Alberta. So I think it's a great picture and a great choice.
Karen, where do you weigh in on the newly chosen image, and how are you feeling about that new slogan, Strong and Free?
Yeah, I do love Moraine Lake in the summer and in the winter. I think it's a gorgeous place, so it represents Alberta very well. It can go forward like that. What I thought was interesting is they talked about 240,000 people voting kind of round over this. And what I think is interesting in that sense is it the people who feel that their strength or their freedom is actually being threatened that we're voting so many times? Because that 240 engagements is more than the voter turnout in Edmonton's city election that just happened. So I think some people seem to really, really care about these license plates. It's going to be nice, but who is it that's actually taking that much time to go forward and vote for the license plate as an issue when there's so many other things that are happening that are important in our government right now?
I guess we'll see in the number of plates that end up on vehicles and traveling the highways. All right, one more topic, and it is the creative pursuits of an industrious Alberta senior. This is 87-year-old Esmond Warren, and what began as a project to keep the Edmonton resident busy has turned into a passion.
Our daughter brought me the first kit as a Christmas present. I thought, good grief. Yeah, I was not too impressed with it at the start, but once I got into it, I really enjoyed it.
And that enjoyment has opened a new level of creativity, using matchstick-sized wood pieces to recreate landmarks like London's Tower Bridge, the Taj Mahal, and the Notre Dame Cathedral. That was in honor of his granddaughter, who died of complications from cystic fibrosis.
When she passed away, she left me with the instructions that I should finish it for her. So I was very, very proud to be able to do that.
Pride also shines through in a scale replica of the family farm in New Sarepta. And the project, currently front and center, there it is, the Alberta Legislature.
That one isn't made with matchsticks. I cut the wood for that one, and I'm building that one from scratch. No blueprints.
No blueprints. Warren says each project takes at least 200 hours to complete. A labor of love, one landmark at a time. Looks like he's getting some help there from his wife as well. Karen, what's this maybe say about making the most of retirement?
Yes, I think that when you have the time, nobody should really ever be bored in retirement. You can literally cut up matchsticks and build new things. It's never too late to start a new hobby. I think what's also really neat is, you can plant trees now because you want them in the future, or you can kind of chop them down and build them into a legislature project also. I really love this story, and just thinking about how much time it takes to master a craft. That's what I guess retirement gives you, and I can't wait to see it for myself.
Well, Chris, Esmond started this passionate endeavor 10 years ago, spry age of 77. Is there a lesson here for the rest of us Albertans?
Well, I love it. And I love the way he said my daughter gave me this, and I was a little bit grumpy about it when I first got it. But I think the lesson here is try it, even if there's something, it doesn't matter how old we are, our minds can be resilient and really flexible. And he tried it, and look at just all the hours and that he's put into it since then, and the joy obviously he's gotten from it. And so just try it. I think we can do that before we're retired. And I certainly hope that when I'm retired, I embrace his way of thinking.
Yeah, I'm really taken with the legislature. I'm kind of hoping that gets displayed publicly somewhere, maybe even at the Ledge. Okay, how about 20 seconds each for a winner or a loser? Karen, go ahead.
Yeah, mine's kind of a winner-loser combo for sure. I think that's the Miss Universe contest. The winner was Miss Fatima Bosch from Mexico, which is great, but the whole contest was littered with a whole bunch of crazy things from people quitting, falling, cheating, walking out. Miss Jamaica fell, but I think just like after Hurricane Melissa, they will rise again. So I know there's a lot of efforts that are in place right now to help with hurricane relief, including a Rise for Jamaica event this weekend. So that would be great for everybody to support.
There you go. Carissa, take it home.
Well, I guess I'd say winners were private health operators in Alberta. We didn't cover that story, but I think it's a key story we'll want to watch. And losers, the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms. Sad to say, but I think it was a loser this week.
Yeah, both those topics getting a lot of traction with our politics panel this week. All right, we have to leave it there. Thank you both. Hope you have an awesome weekend.
Thank you. Take care.